Dummy Switch Pod, the boys are back. How are
Yes,
you, Chris?
sir. Oh, Kudas, my heart's still pounding. I'm still edgy. How's it going? How's it going your side? I'm happy.
Yeah,
It's only a
the
win that we
Dan
want.
Carters. The Dan Carters of podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just church announcements. We're on Spotify. You can catch us there on Apple Podcasts as well. And my illustrious co-host, you said there would be tears this week.
Yeah.
We're just happy that those tears, I'm drying some tears, but
I can see
the tears they didn't seem to be ours. The tears they didn't seem to be ours.
I love that. Yeah. Look, I'm glad it wasn't our tears. It almost became our tears, but it wasn't. So I'm glad that it wasn't. It's just it's another tough week ahead for the Boks.
Yeah.
Playing the team that they beat to hold this crown. And they'll be wanting to come at them.
Yep, this Saturday, 9:00, we'll be there. South Africa versus England, and it's going to be, before we get to the France game, I think we should just touch on that. It's going to be a very different job, this one, to what we saw this last weekend, especially if you saw that England versus Fiji game.
Yeah. It is. It's a different requirement, and at the end of the day, like we said last week, like we've been saying, all we want in the knockouts is a win. It's only a win that we want, So regardless of how they get the job done, they need to get the job done. It won't be easy because England will be feeling confident. They haven't lost. I think they're the only team that haven't lost, right, in the tournament. They know, okay, place kicking. They've got the kickers, and they'll be feeling themselves. Maybe Bill Beaumont would have said a few things to we don't know. We don't know. All I'm saying is that they're also going to be up against it again. And there's no better team to be up against, to be backs against the wall. Because regardless of the French result, we're still going to be up against this against the English, because they have a point to prove. It's not often that that teams get this kind of chance.
It's one game and you're in the final. And England, we can talk about how they got there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Once your name is on the trophy, they don't say that you had an easy pool, you had an easier quarterfinal. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think our job this week is just not to underestimate the team. You've got Farrell there. Farrell is going to try and bully Libbok. You've got players,
He's also going to try to bully the line,
Yeah, they've got hard runners. Tom Curry, they've got hard runners. Then they've got those individuals, the Courtney Laws. They've got some players, and they're going to do everything that a decent tier 1 nation is going to do. They're going to come with that kicking game, that set piece. Yeah. Personally, although I don't think it will be enough, I saw in that Fiji game a bit of trickery here and there, and you can catch them out, and some physicality as well, which Fiji did show, and they got close.
Yeah, and the Fiji did show they got close, but also you must remember England also had a good start. Fast start, a good start against Fiji. They were physical. They didn't want to let Fiji breathe. And I think that's what actually got them that result at the end. Outside of Fiji silly mistakes themselves, but that's all said and done. This weekend against the English, I think they're going to want to make a statement, because this Boks team, they see them as these are the guys that they beat them in the 2019 World Cup. Most of those guys in the English team, they beat them in British Irish Lions when they came here. So
and we're going to beat them again. We're going to beat them again. My thing is that Fiji made mistakes that we don't make, and at the same time, England gave away the amount of penalties that they gave away against Fiji. We're going to have chances. And again, you've got Marcus Smith there playing fullback. He's out of position. The Boks, we'll get to it in the French game. The Boks kicking game was superb. We're going to find them out. We just need to show up, be physical, a bit of trickery, and we can get the job done.
Yeah, and do our ABCs, keep the basics. I don't think, like, even this one, the Boks need need to overthink it too much. They'll have their plans.
Yeah.
But also I think they'll also have their respect for England because they've made it to the semi-final. This is just as with the Boks. The second tournament in a row made it to the semi-finals. Like I say, it's very rare that a team gets opportunity to beat the guys that prevented you from winning the World Cup. And for them, it's that thing of, okay, if they can get this job done, they're giving themselves a chance. So that's why I'm just cautious, because there's things that can happen. There's so many variables, officiating variables. There's so many, and that's why it's a very, as much as we back the boys for sure, 100%, but we know that it's murky waters, especially playing against the team from headquarters, as they like to call it, which I don't know why, but okay.
Yeah, I think we can move on to this France game. Although I will say, at times Fiji were putting in those double tackles, and the defense was hitting them hard. And with the defense that we showed, especially last week, this past weekend, and what we've been showing throughout the tournament, we've got a good chance. Let's put it that way. We've got a very good chance.
Yeah, we've got a good chance. And the fact of the matter is either way, any team that's going to want to win the World Cup, just like France, they're going to have to come and try and take it. Like any heavyweight bout, the contender, you need to show why do you want this thing, and you're not just going to get it.
Those are pretenders. They're not contenders. Those are pretenders, man.
Well, they were contenders until they were not. So until they were not, they were contenders. Look, let's be honest, we're all nervous. We're all nervous, because you that devil looked upon,
I was talking about England. I'm not talking about France. France are contenders. France are real contenders.
But I'm just saying, they were contenders. Even England now, they're in there, they're contenders until they will not be. So that's all I'm saying, is that we must just at least respect that, before we lay into it.
Yeah, let's get on to the France Boks game. I mean, it's fantastic game, end to end in that first half. It came on the backdrop of a Friday team announcement, away from what we usually do. 3 backs announced on the bench, but the biggest shock was Cobus Reinach starting.
Yeah, for me that was, I'll be honest, I didn't pick him. To start. I thought it was going to be status quo and then Williams on the bench, but obviously there was a plan, and that's why they are the ones that are making the decisions. Us, we just sharing our opinions on what we would like to see, and yeah, I think he did the job that they wanted him to do, even though sometimes I was a bit scared with the box kicking or with just the management.
No, he did his job. I can't, and I would have thought, like I said, I've been warmed up to Reinach, as a Shark supporter. You guys, that's your boy key. But for me, I was like, he shouldn't, to some people, he shouldn't have even been at the World Cup. You know what I mean? So to play in a knockout round against the holders, it was a big call to make.
It was a big call to make, and I think for him, he justified his selection. Justified, not that he needed to, but I think he just showed why and what the coaches have been seeing, and what the job that they wanted him to do, he did. You can't really complain in that aspect, but it was a surprise, and I think a lot of the things that the Boks did were different this past week and weekend leading up to match day, which is, we did expect that, to say they're going to be different things that they're going to do, and they did, so, and it's good to see, because it's all part of that whole evolution that we've been talking about for the past 2 seasons, maybe, or since the World Cup, to say, where can this team go, and they're getting close to a place where only one other team, that's, I believe, will be in their way, at the last dance. But this game proved, it just, small margins. It could have gone either way. Let's all be honest here. It could have gone either way. It could easily have been our tears, and us being moody this week,
Yeah, it
but
got sticky. It got sticky
yeah,
there around the 50,
we did.
60-minute mark there when they started to make changes, and the
Mm,
changes weren't as smooth as they normally are. I think that's
mm.
maybe a function of them moving away from the bomb squad and now going, those three backs, and the way they also brought them on, they brought two at a time sort of thing, and
Yeah,
it Faf came on. I think he had a rough first 5 minutes getting adjusted.
yeah,
Pollard came
yeah.
on. I think he also had a rough
He
five.
also had
Jalibert was
he
making
caught
him
some air
dance there.
miles there. Hey, my man, yo,
So
yo.
the guys that did form their own bomb squad were Kwaka and Ox. They formed their own mini
Yeah,
bomb squad there.
yeah. They came and they made a difference, but eh, it's really, regardless. We're gonna go back and talk about, okay, this one did this, did that. Fact of the matter is that needed everything, the kitchen sink plus
Yeah,
more, plus for me, this is just my opinion, as much as we'd like to believe that, the Boks can take teams to very dark places. I think the French, they made the Boks go into a place that, I think they themselves, I think you saw there at the end, of that game that, yeah, it was just touch and go, and they took us there, and rightly so, because like I said, is that any team that wants this thing, they have to take it off the box.
yeah,
They have to. They have to. And the French effort wasn't good enough on the night. Finish and clear. Because what the scoreboard says. Scoreboard says.
yeah.
Scoreboard says we can talk about but scoreboard says they were not good enough. Yes, we were pushed, but they were not. They were not good enough. We survive another week.
Yeah, definitely. You talk about, dragging them into those dark places. The Springboks definitely did that at scrum time. We saw Damian
Yeah.
Willemse calling for the mark, and then something I've never seen, a lot of people have never seen.
Yes.
And it was to drag them into that contest, to get them more tired, to get the forwards working
Yeah.
more.
I
Typically,
think it is
France
also.
don't really want set piece. They want you to be playing their game, and we brought them down to the level that we wanted them at.
Yeah. I also think it was also to make the ref make a decision, because if you saw the scrums before, there was no decision that was being made, and I think it was just a thing, because it was immediately after that. It was immediately after scrum, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and they kicked. And then, Willemse, called that mark to say, no, let's do that thing again, because, there was a decision needed to be made there by the ref, and immediately we got purchase off of that. And, playing to the Boks strengths, I think maybe the only thing that is concerning is just the line out, especially then the second half when the French were contesting, more pressure on, getting
And
out.
we couldn't do anything to their lineouts.
To their line out, that's an area where, we weren't as strong, I believe, but we just did enough, but let's be honest, that start by the French, that shook, I think that shook the whole lot of us, if we're being honest. As much as you believe in the Boks, that start was just like, okay, you can't let these guys get there. And if it's a bit, say, goalkeeping skills or whatever you want to call them, if it doesn't do that, it's a tougher job for the Boks, So
And
those
I mean,
moments.
if you look at the first try and that tap back, it was DuPont. I don't know. There's this guy, he had surgery on his face 24 days. How do you heal into what kind of medicine is this that they're using? Because he was there and he was just pinning us. He just kept on pinning us in the corners. Brilliant kicks. Brilliant kicks. That's one thing also where people can say, France lost. Is he the best in the world? That he showed he's a player.
He is. I'm sorry, that guy's a player, man. That guy's a player. Like, show me another 9 that's got that's got so much impact that can do what that guy does. In terms of modern rugby, they really isn't.
And to pull the strings at 9 in modern rugby is not it's not easy.
It's not. It really isn't. For us in 2019, we're pulling strings at 9 with the box kicks. More there to the box kicks. Okay, maybe on transition, quick ball, but if you look at the evolution of how nines are playing with the way DuPont plays the game, we haven't seen anything like this. If we're being honest. So he's a baller. We don't take that away from him. He's a baller. And some of those French players, some of them, they played out of their skins. The number 2.
Movaka he was dealing with us.
Yeah, played out of their skins. It was a proper game. And again, it's just to say, yes, as much as France lost, but they gave us problems. They did give us problems. But they couldn't sustain it. That's where we got them, is that they couldn't sustain it and they couldn't capitalize. That period after halftime when we still had the yellow, and during that period where they I think they only scored 3 points and they hadn't scored. That's where I believe they lost their moment or their opportunity, because we didn't allow them to drive that screw. And credit to the Boks there, and that's where you see those championship qualities.
At the same time, that's the thing. At the same time, we didn't allow them to pull away. We never allowed them to pull away. They hit those fast scores, we hit it back.
Desperation.
And the thing was, for me, Lebok as well, that the tactic they were doing, the high kick, they were putting the tall timber out wide. I think Etzebeth hit one back for the Dialendi try. Or was it Arendt's try?
I think he just missed it, actually,
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah.
But I mean, he was contesting there.
He was contesting,
and then we had Peter Steff. Peter Steff did all the other ones.
Yes.
So it's a clear tactic. Lebok, as much as you can say things about his kicking, kicking for poles, I think he was excellent in the use of that tactic.
Yeah, he executed it down to perfection, and I thought, I honestly thought that especially for him, the 10, once he went off, we looked a bit lost whenever we had the ball. We weren't as sort of settled in terms of how we want to use the ball.
But we knew that's always going to be the case. We knew that's always going to be the case. Pollard is there to do exactly what he did, which is long range kick. In this game, we were playing against Ramos that has that boot, and we're playing as a team that doesn't have that boot until it comes on. So I think that timing of the substitution, although we did lose that element in terms of running the attack, we gained that long range kick. But at the same time, it's no reason to call for Pollard to be starting, because we wouldn't have been in the same position. We wouldn't have been in that position had Lebok not started.
Yeah, I agree. So even there, you can't say, I think if there was ever after this game, in terms of Mani at 10, I think he's answered all the questions. There's no other better game, pressure game, big. Yes, he missed one kick shot. Okay. But that game, the rest of it, he did his job. He did his job, and I think he did it well. Well enough for him to continue to be the driver. And there's other guys as well that also stepped up. I'll be honest there. As much as I wanted to see because I was like, why did you bring him in if you're not going to play? The reality is that yes, fine, hindsight, you call it that, but he wasn't going to survive that game, because from a match fitness point of view, and Jesse Krill, JK, he did more than hold it down. He had been holding it down.
Yeah.
He had been holding it down the whole time. But now this past game, it's look, give him his flowers. You
have to.
He's won me over completely now.
But this is the thing. Because everyone's saying like, yeah, you guys owe Kriel apologies and what.
No.
I will say excellent game. We have been critics. I think his rush defense in this game, he saved us a number of times. But we were right until we were wrong. You can't say you owe him apology. Yeah. I wish other Springbok players got a good 40 tests, 50 tests before they started producing games like this. But the reality is that players don't get this amount of time to put these amount of performances in.
Yeah.
He's like, I think he's
finally,
a 65 test Springbok, and now he's
yeah,
showing that.
To finally get, to finally dish out, what that more that we've been wanting to see.
Yeah.
That more that we've been wanting to see. Clearly, okay, they've been seeing that they're training, it just hasn't been happening match day, but it's happening for him now.
Yeah, you can't pick someone hoping and wishing, though. You can't pick someone hoping and wishing.
Yeah,
that's but like you said, we wanted to see more. He showed more.
Yes,
we're all happy.
That's all that we've ever been saying. That's all that we've ever been saying is let's see that more. And he did show that. You could see even from the previous game where you could see he was trying to do more with the ball. And get the ball out. This time around, he got the ball out. That chip kick of his, that grabber of his,
and that's talking about adding to your game in terms of an attacking aspect. You can't just say, as good defensive player, good defensive. That's what we want to see. Attacking, you need to do those kinds of things.
Exactly. It wasn't just his defense; is crucial even in that transition try. As well. So. And that's the more that we wanted to see, more that we expect, and the more that he delivered, finish and clap, that's what it is, so we still give him his flowers, thank you, thank you. But we keep moving, we keep moving, and we want now is just more of that consistency, because like I said, I believe this weekend is going to be another tough test.
Yeah, but then this weekend, again, do we stick with the same kind of team that we had? Because it was a battle, it was a war. We haven't heard anything out of the camp to say that someone is injured or anything like that. But as you've seen, Vermeulen came into the side. He wasn't playing the big matches before. But it's almost like they preserved him for this game. And that Arendse try was because of his turnover. He was there making the big plays. Like I said last week, I don't need him to coach. I need him to touch grass. So the same way that we saw him introduced into this team where we didn't think he was going to be there, or Reina, we didn't think he was going to be there. Are we going to see an Esterhuizen? Are we going to see a Moody?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, but hey, for in the semifinal, I don't know, because based on what we've seen, and the stakes, I think yes, we'll see some changes. We definitely will see some changes, because I think some guys will be battered. We'll see some freshness.
Visa, I think definitely Visa's going to be there, and I think he's going to play. Vili's going to fall out of the match day 22. I think we're going to go 6-2 again.
Yeah,
I think go back to that.
Look. And nothing against Vili, but I think Willem says he's arrived now. I believe he's arrived now. Deserves that extended run. He must start and finish the game. I think he hardly put a foot wrong. And he's just grown into that position. That's his. I think, in my opinion, that's his spot. And. Let him have that extended run, consecutively, big games, and let him just grow on from there, because that's the future, because that's the future. So I think we'll see maybe that there, but it'll be interesting to see what they do in the midfield. But Mani, for me, still starts, we'll see what they do at halfback at 9. I think maybe we'll see a surprise there again, primarily to torture the English at the breakdown, around the fringes. Say, I think there's an opportunity there, to keep them honest there. Then in the pack, like you said, Visa, I think this game Sia has to start, and in this game, he needs to play well, because I don't think he was as effective. The French denied him the opportunity to show. The reality is that the French, the way that they controlled their own breakdown, they made sure that, for the most part of the game, none of our guys got close to that breakdown,
And even when they did, there was one moment where Sia got over the ball, and I think it was our first yellow card of the whole tournament, and I think we're even disciplined to the point where Sia got over the ball, he picked the
Yeah,
ball, and then he looked at the referee, and the referee's like, "Go for it, it's open."
yeah,
And then
yeah.
Dupont counteract back. But I mean, you can't. I guess it's that line between instincts and discipline to say
Mm.
like, what is the ref doing? Ox had a big game off the bench.
Off the bench,
Might
yes.
be in there with the forwards. Kitsov didn't have one of his better games. At the
Yeah,
same
I think
time,
one of
Sia
few
also
calls
didn't
that went
have it.
against him.
Sia didn't have it, so we could see Kwacha start as well.
Yeah, we could see. Hey, but the value of Kwacha, which you spoke about, coming off the bench, and we saw it this weekend. You know, he made a difference. With that carry of his. I think that carry of his was the most dominant carry that of the night. Okay, outside of it's the best try, but I'm just saying, just in terms of in general play, to get over the advantage line, we were finally just getting behind
the
him.
only other guy doing that was Colby.
Colby as well, beating players, that experience, that X Factor came through. Bonambi had a shift as well, and he needed to, because Movaka was hot that game, but I think Bonambi, he played his part. Malherbe as well. Hey, that guy, I would like to see his pay slip for overtime, because that guy's clocking overtime. That guy's clocking overtime, and it just shows how important he is. It's like a silent assassin there. You don't notice him, but what he does, what he brings to the team, is big.
Yeah, and he was one of the last changes off.
Yeah, it's a bit as well. I think that consistency that he has, it's very rare to, you can't remember the last time that guy had a bad game, in a Bok jersey. So yeah, even Mostert, I think Mostert looked surprised when he came off, to be honest. I think he felt that he had more to give, so.
But the thing about Mostert was, I think Mostert made the second most tackles, and he came off like at the 40, 44, 45 minute mark. He comes off, and the person with the most tackles was Creel, who played the whole game. I think it was like one behind him. So he put in he put in a shift. I think over the past few months, we're seeing his value massively.
Yeah, he's big. He's big, in terms of that engine. Peter Steff as well, we saw what he brings, but it's just, there's just a few guys, but it shows how this team has each other's backs, because even when there's, if one is not at their best, there's somebody else, ready to,
And that's why, as much as I'd like almost the same team, just that change on the bench, you have to think that there are going to be some changes coming, because you know how they are. It's horses for courses, it's rotations. Yeah. They're going to use the right guy for the right thing. So as much as you would like the same team, we've also got to try and get into their minds and try and think what they're thinking.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, it's all going to come from nothing, if we don't win. Yeah. Because that's where we'll forever be stuck in would have, could have, should have, but equally, once they get the result, we're going to move on because it's the final, so it's a simple but a tough objective. It's just get the win, and we're glad that we're not the coaches right now, because it is tough, in terms of the players that they have, and where they've got them, and also the mental aspect of it, because other Bok teams, or maybe other tests, we would have crumbled and lost. And
you saw that from the France team. Where I think that's the value of being champions, is because you saw Ramos kick out on the full when it's danger time. It's that time when you need to get back into the game, when you need to win. Jalibert, he kicked the ball backwards when he's under pressure. So those are the kinds of things where you're like, no, that experience, that winning, that football heritage, as they say, it's in you.
Yeah, it's in you, and I think also just where they've got this team, from a mental point of view, to understand, that everybody's coming for them, and to be able to take it, and still be standing, that's the Boks. That's the Boks, and I still say Boks all the way, man. Boks all the way. Doesn't matter who plays, doesn't matter whoever. It's only a win that we want. I still say, You know, it's only a win.
Any closing remarks from you, Chris?
No, it's only that. It's only a win that we want.
Yeah, we're coming for that win. You're coming for that. I expect
Yes,
also to
yes,
see
sir.
some trickery, the way we use the HIA to
Yeah,
rotate players.
but
It was
it's within
almost
the
like rolling
laws.
subs.
Whatever. It's in the laws. They must stop complaining. They must go and also read their laws and see how they can take advantage of of what's given. You know,
Yeah.
it's as simple as that. Now, you know, people are gonna cry because of their own lazy of their laziness or their coaches. Okay, we don't say laziness, but yeah, I mean, come on, how come they're not using those tactics? You know, so.
Yeah.
We must leave the Boks alone, man. You know, all we want is a win from the Boks. Simple.
Yeah, that's it from us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's from me,
Yeah.
Pamian Willemse, Eben Petzabeth. Thanks for watching.